everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Imani Janae. If you are new here, if you are, thank you so much for clicking on this video, and if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. Today I am giving you guys my video on how I transitioned into the tech industry with no experience, as promised in my last video about this topic. If you're new, my last topic was that I quit my previous job and I am transitioning into a whole new industry. So I'll have that video linked above here if you guys want to check that video out, and I also have it in the description box if you want to wait till the end of the video to check it out. But in that video I did mention that I am transitioning careers and I'll be moving from insurance role into the tech industry. So I am definitely going to be talking about that in this video as promised. So if you guys are interested in learning about what I did and my tips and my opinions, then stay tuned for the rest of the video. But obviously this is just my experience and I wanted to share with you guys. So let's get on into the video. Alright, so I did discuss this in my previous video, but to the people who are new here, I did want to tell you guys what my previous role was and what my new role is going to be. So I was a claims professional in the insurance industry. So I was a claims adjuster and I worked in the auto department. So I was helping insureds and claimants get back whole after they've been in an accident or after they had a theft of their vehicle or anything of the sort to have to do with vehicles. So that is kind of what I was doing for the past 2 years full time. And I also had an internship with the company for 2 summers prior to being hired on full time. So all of my industry knowledge was in insurance, and that's basically all I knew. I was kind of thrown into the insurance industry after my internship. I didn't really look for another job, even though I knew it wasn't something that I was really interested in doing, if that makes sense. But you know, being in college and already having a full-time opportunity that was really good pay, I just didn't look for anything else. And if I did, I didn't like look super heavily because I was already secure in that role. So it's already hectic enough being a senior in college trying to find a job, and if you already have one lined up, that's one less thing on your plate that you have to do. So that's kind of how I ended up in that industry. But yeah, that's kind of what I was doing. And now I'm on a break. So I am on a 2-month break. This is like week 2 of my 2-month break. So I just quit. The same day that I put my I quit video is the same day that I quit. So it was September 24th. Filmed everything, edited the video, and posted it that evening. So yeah, that's kind of how things happen. And now I'm in the middle of my 2nd week on my sabbatical. And if you guys aren't aware of what a sabbatical is, that just means that I'm taking a career break for now. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. But I'll be transitioning into the tech industry, so I'll be working with a software technology company, and my new role will be an implementation consultant, and I will start that on November 29th. So during my transition or looking for other jobs, I didn't know that I wanted to be in the tech industry at all. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I just knew that I didn't want to be in insurance really anymore. I didn't want to do sales. I didn't want to do claims. I didn't want to be an underwriter. I just didn't want to do anything in the insurance industry. So I decided to look elsewhere. So I applied to a bunch of different industries and careers and companies, and just wanted to see what was out there. So I just looked through a bunch of job descriptions, see what would sound interesting to me and how I would be able to fit in and maneuver my way in to their companies. So that's kind of what I did. And then the tech industry actually got introduced to me through SV Academy. So I don't know if you guys have heard of them or if you have seen their ads on Instagram, which is how I found them. But they are a academy or online course that basically helps you gain the skills to be marketable so you can transfer into the tech industry. So if you guys are interested in sales, they do have a sales development representative course, and they also have a customer focused course, and they basically have you take some courses. You do Zoom classes with other people, and it's basically like online learning. So they help you with your interviewing skills, they help you with some skills that you'll need to build throughout. So if you'll need to learn Salesforce and all that, So that's kind of how I got interested. So I had first joined SV Academy to get the skills that I needed to transition into the tech industry, because I'm thinking like that's the only way, and sales might be the only way that I can move into the tech industry with a business degree. So that's kind of what I was going for, but I didn't end up having to complete the course because I got my job prior to completing it on my own. But I know people who do finish it, their testimonials with SV Academy are amazing, phenomenal. They do help you get a job. They do have a $10,000 tuition, but you only pay it if you find a job after the course and after they've helped you through everything. So I highly recommend them. They sound really amazing. The classes that I took with them for the first 2 weeks, I did take the first 2 weeks of classes before dropping, and they were really helpful. The homework was really insightful. So definitely recommend, if you're like in a bind or stuck and wondering how to transition, I would find one of those academies. I know there's multiple out there that can help you gain the skills to move into the tech industry. So when you're applying for these roles, I definitely highly recommend that you actually read the job descriptions thoroughly and make sure that the job is something that you want to do. At the beginning of my search, I was just casually looking, so I was applying here and there, but I wasn't really that serious. So when these people would call me back, I would be like blank. I wouldn't know what to say, and I didn't know much about their industry or about their company, so it didn't go very well in the first conversations because I wasn't really that serious and I wasn't really looking. I was just seeing what was out there, throwing my resume around to different companies. But if you're very serious about transitioning, I would highly recommend reading the job descriptions thoroughly, reading about the industry, because they're just going to ask you, why do you want to get into this industry since you have no experience. They're not going to say since you have no experience, but they're just going to ask you, why do you want to transition and move into a different industry than you're in currently, or what do you know about the industry. So it's just important to at least have an answer to that question so they can at least move you to the next round. So I wasn't doing that in the beginning, but as I found jobs that I would really want, companies that I really connected with and wanted to work for, I definitely made sure I did my research. I read through the job description and see how I could be a good fit in the role, even with minimal experience. The next thing you want to do is definitely find out what your transferable skills are. And if you guys don't know what that is, it's pretty self-explanatory, but it's just skills that you have or currently possess that can be transferred from one job to another. So you need to figure out what your transferable skills are, and good thing that companies these days are not technically looking for like super hard skills. If you're trying to move into like a business role, obviously they're going to need more hard skills. If you're trying to go into engineering, cloud computing, computer focused type of roles, you're obviously going to need some hard skills. But if you're trying to get into a business career, a lot of companies are just looking for the soft skills that you possess that you can move from your previous job into their current role. Some soft skills that companies are really looking for right now, based on all of these articles that I found, are time management, decision making, analysis, adaptability, empathy, and communication effectiveness. Oh, and also independent working. So if you guys have any of those skills, I'm sure if you guys worked a previous job or had worked with a team or in another company, you guys possess some of these skills. If you had to work with other people, if you had to communicate with other people, if you had to manage your time effectively, like those are some of the top skills that companies are looking for. And those are skills that you can possess literally anywhere. So you can create scenarios and how you use those skills to be successful at your current role and make it transferable into their current job and what they're looking for. In my opinion, the most important parts of the interview is definitely the tell me about yourself section and the questions you ask at the end. So you want to start the interview off strong, make yourself relatable, make them see how your skills can transfer into their current company, and ask thought-provoking questions at the end. So in your tell me about yourself portion, I would just make sure to say what my previous role was, what skills that I have for my current role, say how they relate to what they need, and then tell them why you are looking to transition or why you're looking for a new opportunity. So those are just like the opening things. I'm going to read you my exact tell me about yourself that I had practice just to make sure that I get it right. So I'm just going to read you what I said directly. Let me pull it up. So I'm going to read to you what I would say when they would say, tell me about yourself, and how I made it relatable into what they're looking for. So my tell me about yourself says, I am a customer-facing professional with relationship-building experience. My current role is as a claims adjuster at Blank Insurance. I work in the auto department in a fast-paced work environment and handle an inventory of 100+ claims to help our insureds and claimants get back whole after they've been in a difficult time in their life. I manage the files from start to end and connect with all parties involved, including clients, attorneys, officers, appraisers, etc., to move our process forward, all while trying to get our claims closed within the 30 to 60 day time period. I'm currently looking for some growth opportunities to develop myself into an emerging leader and transition into the tech industry. I looked at this role and I'm very interested in learning more about what it has to offer. Okay, so that's kind of what I would say, and why that's a good answer is it tells them all about my experience. It tells them that I worked in a fast-paced work environment, which their environment is most likely going to be fast-paced as well. It tells you how much inventory that I had and was handling and the time period that we had to close. So it just shows them that we moved the process, that I was able to move the process forward in a deadline. It shows them that I'm able to close the amount of work that I have in a specific time period. It tells them that I have relationship building skills, so I'm connected with all these different people and I'm able to communicate effectively with all these other people that are involved in our claims process. And it just tells them why I'm interested in the role and what I'm looking for in a new job or new industry. So that's my next tip that I think ultimately helped me get the role, is definitely researching the interviewer before the actual interview. So I researched who my interviewer was the night before, so I knew that he was from Greensboro, which I went to school in Greensboro, North Carolina. If you guys don't know, I went to North Carolina A&T State University, Aggie Pride, and he is from Greensboro, so he knows that area very well. Even though that he is a white man, his wife, who was also white, went to A&T, so we had that in common, and we were able to connect with that very early on in the interview. So we were able to build a connection from that, and I was able to talk about that because I had looked at his LinkedIn profile the night before. So if you guys are able to find them on LinkedIn, I definitely highly recommend what they're used to do in their previous roles, how they got to where they are, where they went to school, where they're from. Find something to connect on, because that will ultimately help you get to the next step in the interview process if you're able to build connections. Yeah, that definitely helped for me, and I don't know if it's because I'm an Aggie, because Aggies do, but definitely that was like a good step for me at the beginning of the interview, and that was just something we connected on right away. So just a tip, research your interviewer. You might find something in common and it might be able to help you move forward. Okay, the next thing you're going to want to know is some real life examples on how you can transition into their industry based on what you did in your previous role. So they're probably going to be asking you some questions in STAR method format that you're going to want to know. And if you don't know what the STAR method is, it basically stands for situation, task, action, and result. So they're just going to ask you a question and you're going to explain what the situation is, what the task was at hand, how you handled it, and the result that came from it. Some example questions that they might ask you, there's multiple that can fit within these categories, but ones that are familiar to me and that I was asked. Most of these questions usually start with, tell me about a time when, or tell me how you did this. So they might ask you, tell me about a time you handled stress and how you got through that situation, or tell me how you manage your time throughout the day, or tell me about a time when you solved a big problem and what was the outcome of it. Tell me about a time when you had a big accomplishment and what came from that. Tell me about a time you worked with a difficult person and how you came through on the other side of that. Tell me about a time when you messed up or failed. So those are just some examples that they might ask you. So you're going to want to have like different examples for different types of questions. So I would recommend maybe having like 5 or 6 examples that you can interchange. There's a bunch of questions that you can use with some of the same answers, so you don't have to know like a bunch of different scenarios. Just use a good 5 or 6 that you can use interchangeably, so you won't have to be like in a rut thinking about what to say. If you want to know exact examples on how to answer some of these questions, what I did was I researched on YouTube about interviewing and what to say in an interview. So I am actually going to shout out this YouTube channel because I definitely think that this lady helped me get a job in the tech industry, I swear. So her channel is called Self-Made Millennial. I'll put it on the screen here so you guys can see, and I'll also link it in the description box. She has a bunch of videos on interviewing, resumes, how to answer questions, what questions to ask at the end of an interview. She has a bunch of different videos on transitioning careers, and she is an old HR, or I don't know if she's an old HR professional or a current, but she works in the HR industry, so she knows what companies are looking for and what they're going to be asking, and she makes videos basically to help you navigate the interview process. So I highly recommend her channel. I swear I binged her videos maybe like a few days before my own interview, and I swear using her tactics and practicing on my own is definitely what helped me get the job. So I am so thankful for her videos and just happy that I was able to find it and that it popped up on my page, because I feel like they really helped me in order to transition. So I highly recommend checking out her channel if you guys need some tips. Then at the end of your interview, you want to make sure you're super memorable and you want to ask some thought-provoking questions like I mentioned earlier. So I'm going to share with you a few questions that I took from Self-Made Millennial's YouTube channel and that I actually asked in my interview. So you can use some of these questions and think of your own that will help relate to your role. They honestly helped me get the job the very next day. One of the reasons they said that I got the job was because of the questions that I asked. So definitely this step is super important. You never want to go into interview and when they say, do you have any questions for us, you don't want to say nothing. You want to make sure you have something that you would like to ask or just get some information about, because you're entering a whole new role, a whole new industry. You don't know anything about it, so you have to have some questions, and they should be good questions and thought-provoking questions that will make them think that you have a curious mind and are actually interested in their job and the industry that you're going to be moving into. So some of the questions that I had asked: what are the career paths for this department and what sort of advancements can I work towards? Because that was very important to me, was advancing within my company or within whatever company that I'm going to. I want to make sure that I'm not going to be stagnant like I am in my current role. I want to be moving up and moving forward. So that was one question I asked. Another one: what are the performance expectations of this position and will it change the longer I am with the company? So that is something you really want to know. You want to know how you're being evaluated and how your performance is being looked at throughout your time working, so you can get an idea on what you need to do to keep your job, maintain your job, and also advance within the company if that's what you're looking to do. What makes this role available? This is a good question, so you know what the turnover is for this for the company and the job. You want to make sure you're not getting into a position where you are not going to like the job and you're not going to want to stay. Then you want to ask the interview, why did you join the company, and is the experience what you expected? So this is a good question. It'll give you a little bit of insight into their career path and where they started and how they got to their current position and where they are. So it'll give you some insight to see if you can grow and if you can grow quickly, if you can gain skills, if they even like working here. Those are important questions that you want to ask, because you don't want to be stuck in a position where you're not liking the current job that you're going to be doing after leaving a role that you didn't like. So you don't want to have the same experience twice, so I would definitely ask them if their experience was what they expected and what their career path was. The last thing that I definitely recommend doing is to send a follow-up email after your interview has gone well and after you feel very confident. You don't want to just leave it at that. You want to do it within 24 hours. You want to send a follow-up email, get the interviewer's email from maybe the person who you did a phone screen with, or if it came already in the email confirmation of the interview, you just want to make sure you send the interview message about what you got out of the interview, if you're interested in the company, and leave with a small little connection. So I'm going to read to you my follow-up email because this might be one of the reasons why I got it too. Alright, so I'm going to tell you what my follow-up email said when I sent it after my email. I did send this email 2 hours after my interview, so I did the interview at 10 and I sent it around noon or 12:30. So this is what it says. It says, "Hi, blank, his name. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to speak with me about the implementation consultant role at blank company's name this morning. I enjoyed our conversation and getting to know more about your journey within the company, and it was great to hear your perspective on your 6-year tenure here. I feel really great about our conversation and hope the feeling is mutual. I look forward to the new challenges ahead if chosen to move forward in this role, and I am very interested in working with you and hope to hear back soon. P.S. Don't forget to tell your wife Aggie Pride. All the best, Imani." And I'll put a screenshot here so you guys can see. And I took this template from Self-Made Millennial's channel and I made it my own, spiced it up a little bit, made sure I added the connections that we made in our conversation, and made sure to end it on a good note. Alright you guys, that's literally all. That's all I had for this video. I hope this video helps you guys out and helps you transition into whatever industry that you're trying to get into. Again, this is just my experience, what I did to help me, and what I learned throughout the interviewing process. And I did interview with at least like 7 different companies, and I knew that I wanted to be at this one as soon as I spoke to the first person and then the interviewer. They were all great. So don't forget that you're interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you. So you want to come with questions just to make sure that you're a good fit, just like you're answering the questions so they make sure that you're a good fit. So just make sure that you're doing your research, you're asking good questions, you're coming prepared, you just are really intentional about looking to find a job, and that it's not just something casual and not something that that makes them feel like you're going to just come in for a little bit and then leave. So those are my tips for you guys. I hope this video helps you guys out. If you guys want me to do more career related content, I can definitely do that. You can just let me know what you want to hear from me in the comment section down below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it helps me out so much, helps me grow my channel so much. We're almost at 13,000, which is crazy to think. So if you're not subscribed, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.